talk to me about like your route into comedy, because like I knew you from the black comedy circuit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you know, you're sitting there talking and like you're saying like, you know, you started at 99, like, so like, what was your route like? Because I feel like there's a part of you that got to performing somewhat that I like to call like the glory days of like, you know, the junglers on the weekend that I hear the comics talk about, and you do a Friday, Saturday and a Sunday. But also at a time where it's like, raw, like I'm trying to get on TV, like I'm funny. Do you know what I mean? So how was your route, man?
Well, back then, you know, there weren't many opportunities for people of color in the mainstream. So when I started like mid 98, 99, I back in those days, I did the black circuit also.
Yeah.
Inverted commas, I'm Asian, not black. But
Yeah.
we were all actually called black at one point. You know, in England, Asian people were black as well.
Okay.
Before there was that. So back in the 60s, we were all black.
Yeah.
Even if you're Indian.
Yeah.
They used to call us, we were black people. And in inverted commas, I'm not black, but I'm Indian. And I was doing the black circuit. And I was embraced also by the black circuit. So that was outside of the mainstream circuit. So we refer to the mainstream circuit as, well, you know, everyone. Although it wasn't as welcoming in those days. So when I did Nights at the Empire, and I used to watch that on Channel 4, and now the black circuit, in inverted commas, in those days wasn't really what it is today, where if you didn't work on the black circuit, if people weren't laughing, they didn't just sit there quietly like on the mainstream circuit. They let you know.
Yeah, man.
I saw people getting booed off stage.
Yeah.
And they heck when black people. See, the thing is about when black people laugh, they laugh. But when they don't laugh,
they don't laugh. It's like I know what you mean, that the silence is even more quieter, because then it's like
they used to boo you off.
Yeah, it's met with disappointment. It's like a silence of disappointment. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, man.
And when black people laugh, they don't just laugh. Oh, that's rather. They move when they laugh.
Yeah.
They and they used to, and you could hear the earth used to shake. They used to stamp their feet, and the whole auditorium, and you never smash a gig like you smash on the black circuit, and you know, Lewisham and these shows were big shows, 1,000-seater. And back in 01, I went down to Trinidad and Tobago, and I remember because I did, and I was known through doing the black circuit, and Trinidad and Tobago was 55% black, 45% Indian. It was that. And then I went to Tobago, which was more black at the time, and I thought, oh, these are going to be some good shows out here. And I went there, and I was like, how many people at this show? They took me to a cricket stadium, and it's 15,000 people a show.
Oh my God!
I performed to 30,000 people in 2 days.
And
I was like, I ain't ready for this yet.
When
you've been going like 2 years, you ain't a stadium act.
Yeah.
And I got away with it, but I wasn't ready at that time. And then, you know, it was just doing the clubs, Jongleurs, a comedy store, and anywhere I could do it. And a lot of comics who weren't black couldn't really play the black crowds, because you had to have an intricate knowledge of the black community in terms of Jamaicans, Nigerians, Ghanaians, and know the cultural differences.
Yeah.
And they used to love me talking about my Indian upbringing, because I was born in the UK in the 1970s. I'm an old man now, but it was a different time. So my dad came to this country in 1964.
Okay.
That's around the time of also the Windrush era. So in that time, when my dad works in London Transport, it was mainly Irish, Jamaicans, and Indians, and a lot of Pakistanis came here at the time. And this is off the back of the Enoch Powell speech, Rivers of Blood, and the racism was right. It was normal when I was growing up. The N-word and the P-word were just used in conversation, even punchlines.
They was even on television and stuff.
TV shows.
Yeah.
They would use them as punchlines to comedy. Like if you go back to Only Fools and Horses, it was a punchline in early episodes. And so that's why people thought we can just say those things to people like you and me at school. And we just have to take it and laugh. And then even when I was on the circuit, I'd have comics say it to me, and they'd think it was ironic. But your first instinct is to you start burning up inside.
Yeah.
But we kind of have to take it, and fortunately now I think times have changed slightly. But you know, you can see it more on the internet now. It's kind of gone a bit more underground.
Yeah.
But people can't get away with saying these words to us, to our faces anymore. because you're a bit younger than me, but in those days, and I know your father's Jamaican.
My dad's St. Lucian.
St. Lucian?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
From St. Lucia, and your mum's from...
Well, my mum's born here, but then Jamaican background.
From Jamaican background.
Yeah.
So, and they were... So the upbringing they had would have been quite similar to mine. And, so when you hit that comedy scene back then, it's completely changed. Look where comedy is today. And obviously seeing where you've got now, there were no opportunities for us in the mainstream. So I don't even know what DVD you would have seen me in back then. Because I remember doing some shows on the black circuit. And then they'd film it. And release it.
And he wouldn't tell you.
And they wouldn't tell you. And I remember I confronted one of them. I think me and another black comic confronted them. And then took us into the toilet. They said, what was the problem? And I'm like, you've paid us for the gig, but you ain't paid us for the DVD. You can't just release it. And now they've used Reels. They've turned it into Reels and Instagram. But I'd let it stay out there. But I look quite different to what I used to like 25 years ago.
I think what also captivated me when you went on stage in front of that audience, I think people don't realize when you go out and perform into a black audience, especially as someone who's not black as well, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like being an audience member, you'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Like there's an Asian guy or a white guy, and it's once if you're tapped in and you know about the culture, and you're not trying to beg it with them, but you're almost like, okay, he knows. Yeah. You get an instant like appreciation and love from that audience. I remember you used to have I can't remember the actual bit, but you used to do you still do it sometimes now. You used to do your deep voice Jamaican accent, innit?
Oh, yeah. I used to come on to Wait the Man. I think it was Cutty Ranks. So I was into hardcore reggae as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So I was into dancehall music.
Okay.
Now, you wouldn't naturally expect an Indian guy to be into dancehall. Yeah. So I knew all the lyrics. Yeah. So I'd come out to the dancehall music. Yeah. And then recite the lyrics. Yeah. And the crowd would go wild. Yeah. Like they'd have to rub their eyes and think, how do it's not. And it was almost like, how am I going to follow this with material? Yeah. Because when you come on stage, it's all about the show. Yeah, man. 100%. Black people love a show.
Yeah, it's not about the performance. It's the show.
It's the show. They've come to see a show. Yeah. And you get and on the black circuit, people that you see like Wendy B. Rollins and the acts. And there were so many great black acts in those days on the circuit, and most of the patois was so strong, even I didn't understand what they were saying. Yeah. And I'd have Jamaicans come up to me after the show, speaking to me in patois about how much they love the act. Yeah. And my patois isn't probably as good as yours.
No, but yours was good though. It's like when I remember watching the DVD, I was like, "Where's this guy from?" Because this is very good. But then I think what was good, he was able to switch. In and out of accents. So I think it made it even funnier because it was like, it's one thing doing an accent, but it's doing it with conviction where you're like, okay, cool, he's not even mocking the culture. It's not like an Ali G where it's like you're making it comical. Do you know what I mean? You're actually executing it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'm from that background, you see. So the people I grew up amongst, I'm working class, Asian, British. And in those times, those were just my friends.
Yeah.
So these are the people I was around. So it wasn't like I was changing to be someone else.
Did that help mold your comedy about like where you grew up and the people you had around you?
Yeah, when you're growing up and you go home and you've got like an Indian upbringing, and then you're out amongst proper geezers and and black people and all different cultures. But when we hit the comedy scene on the main circuit was pure white in those days. There was literally a handful, if that, of non-white comics on that scene.
Yeah, man.
And then when I went to do, say, like slightly later, Live at the Apollo, I was the first like British Asian on the show, and then doing certain things on, realizing, oh, you're the first to do that, and hosting Stand Up for the Week and stuff like that on Channel 4 and all these kinds of things. Oh, this is...
Yeah, we got the archives there, man.
These research, your production team are on it. Yeah. I've never done a podcast where they get the clip up to remind you of what it used to look like when I used to wear a blazer on stage.
I went through that phase. I remember doing stand-up, and especially in the black circuit, it was all about like you had to wear like shoes and a blazer. And I remember doing shows and being like, and having like a like a blazer, you know, like a carrier, like a suit carrier.
Yeah.
Going to shows, ironing my jeans. And I was also at that weird stage where, you know, like where like tight jeans and blazers and shoes were like a thing. And I was doing shows and just remember just being on stage and just not feeling like myself. But I was always like, well, this is what I got to do in the black circuit. And it was interesting because I think after a while I was like, why am I wearing this? I don't wear this any other time. But it was so like you had to wear, you know, wear like a shirt or something, because you see all your other peers do it. Do you know what I mean?
But did you see, like, even the audience, like girls in the audience were done up like they were on a night out.
No, dressed up, man.
Dressed up to the max. But you go to a mainstream show at that time, it was just a jeans, t-shirt, But then you go to the black, and that's people wearing suits and everything. It's like a night out. It's an event.
It's like, I've always said, like, when it comes to the black comedy circuit, it's like an event, and it's almost like people are like coming out, so they're gonna get their hair done, their nails done, babysitters. So sometimes people will always say, but like, I think what people don't realize is that when people are doing that to come to a show, they want to laugh big because they're like, look, I've spent how much on my nails, a lot of money for a ticket. Hair, I've got a trim, taking out my girl or my link or whatever, or like, it's so much goes into it, and then it gets to the show and it has to hit. It can't be mediocre. It has to be like, it has to be. And what's also nice about it is that when it hits for you, it makes everyone have to up their game, because it's then, if you up your game, it's going to hit for you. So it's like a knock-on effect. But if you don't hit, the feeling of not doing well and then seeing someone smash is stressful, man. Or even like the fact where I remember doing shows like Hackney Empire, and someone comes off and you go on and you smash, and then someone comes off and they say, oh man, you murdered, man, you've made it hard for me. Because I think there was also that competition on the black comedy circuit as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was only until I kind of transitioned more into like the mainstream circuit and doing some more of the clubs that it's not about smashing it. It's like, I need to have a good gig. And the audience didn't really care. Like, it's great if it goes well, but like in the black comedy circuit, it was like, it's either you smash it or nothing.